Hi, this is Mike Loveday from StudentSportsLacrosse.com, and I'm here with Davyd Powell from Snohomish High School in Washington. And a little bit ago, he made a commitment to Canisius High School, and he's got an interesting story overall. But we want to talk to him about the recruiting side today. So, welcome, Davyd, and kind of talk a little bit about. Let's first start with who were kind of the final four schools going into your recruiting process.
Well, going into the Final Four, I mean, I had Whittier, which has been a big interest since my freshman year. The coach there has really been pushing and pushing and pushing for me to come there. He's a really good guy. I'm just brain farting on his name right now. And Eastern was a big one, and of course Canisius and Salisbury. And coming towards the end here, like I haven't been talking to Canisius for very long, but Coach Mearns really made it seem like a family deal. He made me feel a part of the team even before I committed, just through email and over the phone, like once a week talking to me and stuff. And once like I toured Canisius, I knew that was kind of the school for me
Yeah.
and stuff. So.
Now you had I think if I remember correctly, you went to, I think it was Whittier this summer, I guess last summer. So your
Yeah,
visiting process kind of, spanned a year. Kind of talk a little bit, what was that like? Because I know we talked a little bit before about, when you see, teammates and friends committing to school and you're still kind of going through that process. Like talk a little bit about what that was like about, visiting a school and then, visiting the rest and then eventually committing the following year.
well, it's kind of a big shock because so I would have been a junior. A lot of kids like at my school and stuff aren't looking to go to college until their senior year, so it'd be this year. So for me, it was kind of like, wow, I'm already looking to see where I'm going to go, and all my other friends are already committing as sophomores and juniors, and all the pressures on me then. So when I was touring those schools and stuff, it was just kind of like a big shock. It all came so fast.
Yeah. So when you're kind of getting through, and I think you said you visited Eastern just before you visited Canisius, and obviously Salisbury was probably, I'm sure, a tempting school. So talk a little bit. What was going through your mind when you were at Canisius? Like what kind of check marks are you looking for? But like, hey, it's got to have this, this, and this if I'm going to end up here.
Well, so Eastern's kind of in the middle of Philly. Well, I wouldn't even say in the middle of Philly. It's kind of on the outskirts of Philly. And Coach Wallace made it. The campus was beautiful. You can't go wrong with Eastern. You got Cabrini right across the street, literally right across the street. I mean, it's in the middle, kind of, I guess you would say, of nowhere. But then when you get to Canisius, everything's right there. You have the transit center that can take you anywhere. You have the train that'll take you down to downtown New York. I mean, you got all the sports teams. You got the Bills, which are all right, but it's better than nothing. You have the Bandits, the lacrosse team, and then you have is it the Sabre? Believe the Sabres.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, that whole kind of the social. I'm a really social guy, so the whole social part of being around everyone was kind of the big aspect for me. I like to be able to get out and go and do stuff rather than just being in one area for 4 years.
Yeah. Now, for a lot of us, I'm sure, including me, we're not too familiar with the area. Is it Canisius like where you're at now, or is it just different from where you're at now? Maybe that was the appeal.
It's a whole different place than where I'm at right now. Snohomish is kind of, I guess you would say, a country town area. We're in the middle of like farms and stuff like that, rather than like a Bellevue where it's all like a city. So it's a lot different, and that's kind of what I wanted. I wanted change. So
So how long after you visited Canisius did you eventually end up making your choice and calling the coach and be like, hey, this is where I'm gonna go?
I committed to Canisius the day after I got home from Buffalo. I sat down with my dad. We had a long discussion of, is this the decision I want to make? Is this where I want to be for 4 years? I even called him while I was at the school, and we talked about it. We made a checklist of pros and cons, why I like it, why I didn't like it, why it'd be a good school for me, if they had my major, those kind of things. We went through the whole set, and at the end, I mean, I couldn't go wrong with making the decision. It was just the right place at the right time.
Yeah, and it sounds like you weighed your choices very well, over a period of time, which kind of brings me to my next question. Is I always like to ask, what's something, what's one thing you learned over the course of your recruiting process that you'd pass on and be like, tell a freshman, be like, hey, this is probably something you want to keep your eye out for, that I didn't know when I started.
But you can't just my big thing was all my friends were committing. I mean, one of my best friends, Colin McElvaney, committed to Maryland as a freshman, and that put a whole lot of pressure on everyone else around here.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to get just really down on myself, like, oh, I want to commit so badly, like I'm putting my hardest out and I'm not getting looks or anything, because I didn't start getting looks till I was probably sophomore, junior, till I was actually really getting looks. Yeah. And Coach Cote would always keep on me, don't worry, just keep playing your hardest, and you'll get there. And I kept going through with that, and Lewis Ratcliffe even told me the same thing as my Stars coach. He just told me to keep just pushing it, and I did, and sure as hell I committed. So it was just not. My advice is just don't get down on yourself. Just keep pushing and pushing and pushing, and you'll eventually get there.
Yeah, obviously there's something to be said for taking your time and making sure you make the right choice, because I know when I was in high school I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do as sophomore, so it's a tough choice to make, and no matter what time. So
exactly.
Yeah, so we talked a little bit about freshmen, kind of bleeding in, not a great segue, but we'll talk a little bit about the team for the upcoming year. In our pre-interview, you talked about a guy you're getting back. Talk a little bit. What's the dynamic of the upcoming team that'll be for 2014?
I think the upcoming team for 2014 is probably going to be one of the best we've had. I mean, we just moved up to Division I last year. We won D2 in 2012, which was just cake. I mean, you can't go wrong with 14-0. So I think the whole going from Division II to Division I, playing teams like Bellevue and Eastside Catholic, was just a huge shock to some of the kids that have never played in lacrosse at that level before. So I think this year, since they got a taste of what it was like last year, we kind of know what we're getting ourselves into. And like the whole preseason kids, we got kids that are football and working out and stuff. So once fall ball comes around, I think we'll be set.